Oh, hi there. If you enjoy cameras as much as me, I'm hoping you're going to enjoy this video. Today we're covering Leica cameras in particular. I'm going to cover the four main digital Leica camera systems, like the little Leica CL L-mount compacts, workhorse cameras such as the more chunky SL, the most popular Leica M cameras, and last but not least the Leica Q, Leica Q2 and Leica Q2 monochrome. If it's your first time here, hello and welcome, Matt from MrLeica.com. I'm hoping this video will be for beginners and experts alike. Beginners, hopefully you'll find this useful if trying to buy your first Leica. Experts, if you've already got every Leica camera, every Leica lens, and then let me know in the comments anything I may have missed. And with that, I hope you enjoyed the video. So today I'm going to pretend it's like one of my one-to-one Zoom calls. You've written me an email, can we have a meeting to discuss which is the best Leica camera for my needs? So I'll try and do like a broad answer. It'll just be more opinion based, high level kind of helicopter view to give you guys what I think is the strengths from each camera. Then I'll also include a few tips for each of the camera systems, but it won't be really geeky spec by spec level. That being said, if you stay with me until the end of the video, I have done like a little matrix where I compared all the stats that I could think of against all the different cameras. I can make that available as a download. So when looking at the four camera systems, I tried to give an overall title to each of the four camera categories as to who it might be best suited to. The Leica CL I think offers the best small Leica digital camera setup with interchangeable lenses. So pros of the CL, I'd say the size, the weight, and the fact it gives you autofocus. I'd say the cons of the Leica CL, it is now discontinued as of May 2022. It's APS-C, meaning crop sensor camera, so you're not going to get the full benefit of a full frame sensor. That means less shallow depth of field, less bokeh, and the CL has no weather sealing and no IBIS. I get quite a few Leica CL users contacting me on the Zoom calls, and some of the questions I often get is about lenses. What small lens would you recommend? The best small lenses I've come across for the Leica CL camera, if you want autofocus, definitely get the 80mm f2.8 Elmerit kit lens. If you want affordable lenses with autofocus, look at the Sigma DC-DN line. The 30mm and the 56mm are both very popular. And then if you prefer manual focus, you will need a Leica M to L adapter. And then the two lenses I often recommend is the 21mm Voigtlander scope R and the 35mm Voigtlander scope R. Those lenses are both super small and that will give you a really compact setup. And then for me, the best accessory for the Leica CL is the 7 Artisans M to L close focus adapter. If you're like me and you enjoy vintage lenses, the problem with vintage lenses is they have a close focus distance of 1 meter, minimum focus distance. If you use the 7 Artisans helicoid adapter, you can close focus any kind of M-mount lens or like a screw mount lens adapted to the M-mount adapter. So the CL is best suited for me for small lenses, and so look at some of the LTM lenses because they give you really small and often quite affordable options and really nice optics. And my last top tip for the Leica CL, if you own a Leica Q camera, did you know that the Leica CL and the Leica Q use the same batteries? Talking of the Leica Q, for me the Leica Q system is the best do everything Leica camera. One of my patrons kindly opened my eyes to this concept that I think Peter Carb, the designer, I think originally spoke about. The Leica Q2 has got a high resolution sensor, 47 megapixel. If you then shoot 28mm as like a wide crop of the view of the street, whatever you're photographing, if you then think of that the same as say shooting a 6x7 medium format camera, the famous photographers of yesteryear would then crop in to get the desired crop they wanted from that larger negative, and that would be their final image. If you are say a street photographer, or maybe in my case a wedding photographer, you can't always get near enough to get a tight crop of what you want. So by having a wide scene shot, you could potentially get 2 or 3 photos out of one original 28mm wide frame because of the higher resolution. Pros of the Leica Q system, it's a point and shoot system with a fixed lens, so if you want to simplify your gear and just get your shot without the equipment getting in the way, the Leica Q system is the go-to system for that. The Q cameras have a leaf shutter lens, so they give you some of the quietest possible setups in terms of stealthy street photography. And if you enjoy using strobes, you can sync your flash at much higher flash sync speeds, giving you a much greater creative control when dimming the daylight and then lighting parts of the scene that you want to light with artificial lights. Drawbacks and limitations of the Leica Q camera, it's obviously a 28mm fixed lens camera. So yes, you can crop in camera, which is better suited I think to the Q2 versus the Q, which is only 24 megapixel. But if you somehow manage to scratch your lens, which is unlikely because you've got the lens hood, you've only got one lens because it's attached to the camera. And also if you get dust in your camera, it's going to cost you £300 plus to probably get it serviced and get the dust removed. On the older Leica Q original cameras, you got dust coming in through the mic ports and the speaker ports. So I'm probably going to tape up my mic ports and speaker ports just to reduce the chances of dust getting into the camera. For the Leica Q system, my tips would be, if you are looking for a do-everything Leica camera, I would say get the Leica Q2 if your computer can cope with the larger 47 megapixel files. That camera gives you weather sealing and it gives you 20 frames per second autofocus. And if you love your black and white photos, you can get the Leica Q2 monochrome. I'm actually currently working on a Leica Q2 monochrome Lightroom preset pack based on files from you guys who have sent me your files. If you want to get involved and you own a Leica Q2 monochrome, check the link in the description. And bonus tip, the Leica Q2 shares the same battery as my Leica SL and the Leica SL2. And up next, the Leica SL, one of my favorite cameras. For me, the Leica SL gives you the best platform for adapting other lenses, perhaps from some of your older cameras. So perhaps you used to shoot Nikon, same as myself. You can use all your Nikon glass on your Leica SL camera just by using different adapters. For me, the strength of the SL camera system is the EVF, the ease of adapting any lenses. It's got the big grip. Using, say, a big zoom lens, it's going to be most comfortable with an SL camera versus the others that we're talking about. And then being a professional body, you also get the dual card slot. And then if you get the SL2S, it gives you 510 shots per battery, 47 megapixels, and 25 frames per second autofocus, which is the fastest autofocus option of the cameras we're talking about today. However, it's not as fast as non-Leica brands. There are faster options out in the market. So cons to the Leica SL system, it is a bigger camera system, especially if you use Leica SL lenses. My top tips for the Leica SL camera system: number one, if you're on a smaller setup, definitely use Leica M lenses via a Leica M to L adapter. And then again, if you want to close focus your Leica M out lenses, use the 7 Artisans close focus adapter. If you want the best weather protection system of all the cameras we're talking about, use the Leica SL2 or SL2S with the SL lenses, which are weather sealed. So you've got weather sealed lens and a weather sealed camera. The second best option is the fixed lens Leica Q2. It's a IP52 compared to IP54 for the SL2. And finally, for the SL range, if you love Leica R glass and say you're coming from film, you've got all the lenses and you want a digital body, I would recommend the Leica SL system as your best option for using Leica R glass. I really love the results from using the Leica R lenses I've got on my Leica SL camera. Some of the larger Leica R lenses are a bit too front heavy for me on the Leica CL, but they just balance perfectly on the Leica SL with the larger battery grip. And in summary, for the Leica SL, I would say if you've never used a Leica camera and you like big professional body cameras, I think the SL system is the easiest transition from, say, a Nikon DSLR system or a big Sony setup or Canon system. If you're used to pro bodies with big lenses, you'll be able to pick up an SL and use it almost instantly and hopefully really enjoy it. And last but not least, the Leica M camera system. I did a poll on my YouTube and the Leica M system won by miles in terms of which is your favourite Leica camera system. I did a 24-hour ultramarathon at the weekend, so I ran 40 miles, so I had plenty of time to think about this. And for me, the Leica M system is the best digital analog experience. What do I mean by that? If you know anything about M cameras, the design hasn't changed a great deal between 1950s and 2022. All Leica M cameras released in the last 70 years, bar a few kind of specialist exceptions, give you a combined optical rangefinder viewfinder. This means you're going to get the same enjoyable experience whether you're shooting a digital Leica M camera to a vintage Leica M film camera. Yes, you don't get the enjoyable experience of winding on the film that you do with a film camera. But in terms of slowing down your photography and simplification and kind of knobs and dials, the advantage of a digital M camera is you don't have the cost and time of film developing. It's instant gratification when you look on the back of the LCD. But equally, it's very, very different to shooting almost any other digital camera on today's market. In terms of pros, it depends a little bit on the specifics of each camera model. M8's great if you love black and white in particular. M9's amazing for colour. M10P is said to be very quiet. M10R gives you 40 megapixel resolution. Now we have the Leica M11, which gives you an option of up to 60 megapixel resolution. The Leica M11 gives you the highest resolution of any Leica full frame camera system, and it gives you the most photos per battery charge, 710 photos per battery. at least double most of the other Leica digital cameras. The Leica M11 also gives you the weather sealing, the same as the Leica Q2. But remember, this is only dust proof, splash proof, so it's not full weather sealing, and it's only body only, not the lenses, because the M lenses are not weather sealed. If you love black and white, you can get the older CCD sensor Leica M9 monochrome, or you can get the more modern Leica M10 monochrome. Pros of the Leica M system, it gives you a cool retro look. I think it's going to slow down your photography and give you something completely different. If you used to say mirrorless cameras or DSLR cameras, using a rangefinder is going to completely change how you shoot, and hopefully you'll find it very enjoyable. But with all that said, it's not for everybody. The Leica M cameras are manual focus only, unlike the CL, the SL and the Q, which all offer autofocus. If you want to use the rangefinder, you have the limitation of a 0.7 meter close focus distance. And if you give your camera a sudden knock, you will knock the rangefinder out of alignment, meaning you will need to recalibrate the camera to get that recalibrated, and that's camera away from you while it's being calibrated, which is normally at least 1 to 2 months from my experience when sending the camera to Leica. That weakness alone for me puts it below the Leica Q system and the Leica SL system, which I would choose over the M cameras for any assignment. Say you're shooting for National Geographic, I wouldn't take an M camera for a National Geographic shoot. One knock and you're stuffed, for want of a better phrase. That being said, if you look after your M cameras, they are very enjoyable to use. And my top tips when people often ask me about what lenses to get for their first Leica camera, I'd say don't have your blinkers on and only think about Leica M lenses. Yes, they're nice, but you're going to pay a higher price tag. And if you've already spent all your money and more on the camera body, you may not have the money to then spend on M glass. Look at Voigtlander Leica M mount lenses. They are very, very close in terms of optical performance. I've sold Leica glass and replaced it with better Voigtlander glass on multiple occasions. Tip number 2, if you're struggling to nail focus because you can't see because of the limitations of a rangefinder camera, try using a 1.4 viewfinder magnifier, and that's going to make the 50mm frame lines fill almost the entire viewfinder, making it easier to critically focus fast 50mm lenses such as the Noctilux or 90mm Summicron f2, for example. That little magnifier lives in my Leica M cameras. And talking of ease of focusing, if you love rangefinder cameras but you have got a few non-rangefinder lenses that you want to adapt, you can adapt many lenses to a M camera. However, you can't use a rangefinder to focus them. So to focus any lens which is not a rangefinder coupled lens, you need to either use live view on the back of your camera, or you need to use an accessory shoe EVF electronic viewfinder. An EVF will open up the world to a much wider range of lenses. However, the EVFs do have a bit of lag. You can't compare an EVF on a Leica M camera to a built-in EVF on the Leica SL range, the Q or the CL cameras. And bonus tip, if you wear glasses and you don't have 20/20 vision, the CL, SL and the Q cameras all have diopters where the M camera doesn't. Okay, so I covered quite a lot in this video. If you didn't catch all of it, do not worry. I can make the notes for this video and like a summary table available in the description. Hit the link in the description, get in touch, and I can send you a copy of the matrix comparing the 4 camera systems. Equally, if you want to speak to me one-to-one to get a more bespoke answer for what might be best for your situation, click the first link in the description below and that will give you details for setting up a Zoom call. And with that, if you enjoyed this video, please smash the like button, and as always, a massive thanks to my awesome patrons.